The Career Show, broadcasted on Friday evenings from 6pm to 8pm on Free TFM. In this show, we talk to all sorts of people involved in a variety of different careers, discussing how their journey has led them to where they are today. The aim is to inspire people out there and giving them advice on how to get into these careers. This could be from nursing, to hospitality, to veterinary, to videographer, and much more. Also keeping you updated on the latest job opportunities from Ayrshire and beyond. If you have a request on a specific career that you're interested in, then you can contact us on Facebook at The Career Show. Additionally, if you want to come on the show and tell us all about your career journey and promote your business, again, contact us on Facebook. So if you want to tune in, you can listen on Free TFM as well as online at www.freetfm.org.uk. That's www.freetfm.org.uk. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to the Career Show here at 3TFM. That's www.3tfm.org if you want to tune in online. But also with the KWFC, Kilmarnock Women's Football Club, which Fit My Shorts, myself, Eddie Gemmell, and the whole crew have been filming over the past few months. And hopefully over the next few months, when this COVID virus disappears, we can get back and meet players like our guest that's coming on just now. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Lisa Swanson and I'm back at Kilmarnock again, so I'm looking forward to getting started in that. So,
Are you centre forward, Lisa, is that right?
Aye, yeah.
I think you banged a few goals the last time you were here.
I've scored a few, I think
I've been lacking that for the past couple of games. But first of all, what I want to talk about is basically how you kind of came into football and other things that you've been doing in your life. Let's talk about your school, primary, for example, starting off there. What was that like?
I went to Caledonia Primary in Saltcoats, and all I remember from school really just playing football out in the playground at playtime and lunchtime. Just played with all the boys. Like we kind of made like our own football pitch. We used like jumpers in a tree. That was our goals. So every single day we just spent out playing football. So that's basically what I remember from school. It's
funny how whenever I talk to footballers, that's the first thing they say. It's football. We never talk about the academic side. Did you have any academic side? I
was never really interested, to be honest. I just wanted to play football. And I don't really think I never really applied myself the way that I should have. I wasn't really interested in school. Even when I went to academy as well, when you hit like I think third or fourth year, you've got to like choose your subjects. So I just picked like the fun ones. So I picked like PE, art, like tech, things like that, HE. So I wasn't really thinking about, right, I'm going to pick subjects so that once I leave school, I'm going to get into this career or that career or whatever. Yeah. I just picked the subjects that would get me through.
The football at primary school, was it an actual team you played for at that time?
No, we didn't have a school team. And then when I got to primary 7, they introduced a school team. But they never actually, the way they picked the team was, you showed interest, so they would ask you like in the class who wants to play in the school team. So you'd put your hand up and volunteer yourself to play, and then your name would go into a hat and they'd pick your name out, and if your name was pulled out, then you were in the team, and my name never get pulled out. So that's how they picked the school team.
I was talking to a football manager earlier this afternoon. I was interviewing him, and I was saying to him about his early days, and I mean obviously he's a bit older, but he was saying that how they ended up picking their players was they just threw a ball into the middle of the park and everybody just joined in, and you naturally found your wingers, your centre forwards and your midfielders. Is that what happened to you?
I played in the street. That's all I knew. I went to Kilmarnock when I was really young, and then I think I was there for about 2 weeks, and then like my dad never took me back, so I just went back to playing in the streets. And then I joined a boys team, Saltcoats United, and I played there for a year. Then I ended up back at Kilmarnock properly, but up until then I didn't I didn't even watch football that much. I'd only watch Rangers play, but other than that, I would just play in the street. So I never really knew the rules of football or anything.
Was it in the family? Was your dad a footballer?
Aye, so my dad's the youngest of 9. Like all my uncles, I think all of them played as well. All really good footballers and all like big into football. They've all got their like Rangers and Celtic in my family, and the like season ticket holders go to all the games and things. So my family's like big on football.
The next sort of thing I want to ask you is about Ronaldinho. I mean, the Brazilian is a terrific player. I remember seeing him at Ibrox. Why have you picked Ronaldinho?
I've always loved him. So I think every time he's played at Ibrox, I've been there. When he played for PSG, that was my very first Rangers game. So Ronaldinho and Arteta and that were playing for PSG, and that's the first time I seen him, and I just loved them. And then I've kind of just followed them. Like I used to watch, like when you watch Brazil, like they had an unbelievable team when I was growing up, and it was always Ronaldinho that stood out. I just loved what he can do with a ball. He's always smiling as well. And I've been to Barcelona a few times, and I've been to like some of the games, and I seen him there as well. And I think I've seen him live like 6 times. I've just always loved him. I used to watch YouTube videos of him for hours and hours as well, and that's why like I wanted my squad number to be number 10 when I was a kid.
Right.
So that's just because Ronaldinho is my favourite player.
Oh, I mean, also the track you've picked as well is Tina Turner's "Simply the Best." I wonder why. Is that an Ibrox notion?
Obviously, it's a massive Rangers song.
Yeah.
But for me as well, like that was kind of our song for my nana. And she was like a massive Rangers fan as well, so I kind of associate that song with both. Like obviously being a Rangers supporter and my nana, who was a massive Rangers fan as well.
Well, let's hear that track.
I call you, I need you, my heart's on fire. You come to me wild and wild. You come to me, give me everything I need. Give me a lifetime of promises and a world of dreams. Speak the language of love like you know what it means. And it can't be wrong. Take my heart and make it strong. You're simply the best. Better than all the rest. Better than anyone I ever met. I'm stuck on your heart. I hang on every word you say. Tear us apart. Baby, I would rather be dead. In your heart, see the start of every night and every day. In your eyes, I get lost, I get washed away. Just as long as I'm here in your arms, I could be in no better place. You're simply the best. Better than all the rest. Better than anyone I ever met. Ooh, I'm stuck on your heart. I hang on every word you say. Oh, tear us apart, no. Baby, I would rather be dead.
I want to come back into it and talk about the sort of transitional phase. It's an interesting one when you move from primary into sort of secondary school. It's a big jump and a big leap. That, I mean, I always ask that question to see how people feel about that. What was the impact it had on you?
Well, I was quite I still am, but I'm quite a quiet person, quite shy at times. But I think what kind of helped me was probably football. That kind of helped me in that transition, because at that same time, when I went into secondary school, was just when I got into the Rangers team as well. So it kind of helped that a wee bit. Like, obviously, there's a lot of Rangers fans in the school I went to. I went to a Drogheda Academy. So people knowing that you play with Rangers, it's quite a good thing. It kind of helped me a bit, so it did.
How did you feel? I mean, going up to, was it Ibrox you went to, or was it in the training ground?
It was under 17, so it was Ibrox Complex. But I trained there when I was younger. My nana bought me a week training up at Rangers soccer schools when I was younger. So I used to complain all the time, like it wasn't fair how I couldn't play with Rangers, because they never did a women's setup or anything. I used to complain as if it was like her fault, and I think she would just try to help me and be like, right, it might happen one day. So the best that could happen back then, the closest I would have got to playing with Rangers back then was going to the soccer school. So I was kind of used to that, like playing up there and let's say in the stadium and things like that. Training straight across the road from it was brilliant. So when I first started at Rangers, it was Ibrox Complex. We were there for a year, and then into the women's team, and then moved up to the training ground.
Did you get any sort of chance to sort of train with the senior squad?
Well, I moved straight into it because 2007 was when the Rangers girls started, and then the following year, that's when the women's team started. So I went straight from under 17s into the women's team, and I still remember it, like my very first day I was so nervous, because I used to watch a programme called Blue Heaven, and it was like Bob Malcolm, Charlie Adam, Chris Burke, they were all on it, and it used to show you like the training ground and the big Rangers gates, get into the car park, and just actually going through that for the first time, I was so nervous. So I wasn't like scared, but it was like, this is real. Like, I'm a Rangers player. This is unreal.
Lots of Rangers and Celtic themselves have moved on quite significantly in the Scottish scene in comparison to England. Do you think we're catching up with the English scene? Sort
of do with money, innit? Sort of do with money. Money plays a massive factor in football right now. Rather than, I think money's kind of taken over from loyalty. So it is. So I don't know. Like it is catching up, but obviously Rangers and Celtic are now professional. But we need the rest to kind of follow suit as well. Otherwise, because like Glasgow City dominated for so long. So if you've got Rangers and Celtic who are full-time professionals, they too are going to like dominate for so long. It's going to be impossible for other teams to match that, never mind compete. So if it's going to follow England, it needs to happen, I think, at every club.
Let's talk about your next player. I listen to him every morning in talk radio. Ali McCoist. Why have you picked Ali?
I love Coisty. He's amazing.
Will I send this video to him?
I've met him a few times. I used to work for Street League, and they play fives down at Rook and Glen. Or they used to play fives down at Rook and Glen. I used to see him quite a bit. I would talk away to him as if like, I've known him for years, and she's probably thinking, "Who is this?" Like keeps coming up and talking to me. But he's amazing. Obviously I was too young to like see him actually play, but I've watched all the videos. Like, I've watched like the Rangers 9 in a row team and seen all the goals he's scored. He's the very first player I've ever met as well. So
he's always classed as a kind of poacher. You know, he's always in the box.
He's a goal scorer. That's all he is, a goal scorer.
And that's what you want in a team. But did you say that was your style? Have you picked up that from him?
I don't know. Like I started off like as a centre midfield player. I played out in the wing as well. I think I just got put up front because of my height. because I was tall and I could hold the ball up. I think that's why I get put up front. It's only just the past few years I've actually started scoring goals like a proper striker.
Yeah.
I'd always set up more goals than what I scored.
Your next track, I think you picked is Oasis, is that right?
Aye.
Slide Away. Why that? That was a 90s rock.
I love Oasis as well. I got my very first tattoo and I got the lyrics on me. I listen to that song all the time. I like Oasis. They're probably my favourite band. So that's just one of my favourite songs.
Do you listen to any of that kind of music walking down the tunnel into the park?
No, but I listen to Simply the Best. That's got to be I don't have any superstitions or anything, but before I leave the car or whatever, my last song I listen to before I get into change room's got to be Simply the Best.
Right.
I don't know, I've done that for years.
What do the rest of the team say in the dressing room?
I've got my earphones in, so
Are you safe? Well, let's hear that track.
This interview is brought to you by The Career Show, broadcast right here every Friday, 6 till 8 p.m, exclusively on 3TFM.
What I'm going to come to now is maybe talk about yourself, maybe away from football. And I mean, what do you do with yourself? I mean, when you left school, did you get into college or get into a job?
I didn't really know what I wanted to do, so I ended up was kind of in and out of jobs. I went to America for 3 months as well, coaching. Done a wee bit of coaching for Rangers, and then I thought I need to kind of do something in my life here. So I went and studied, and then I ended up working in mental health for about 4 or 5 years. And then I went from there to Street League, and now I'm a prison officer, so I've kind of got there in the end.
What did you study?
I went to, at first, I'd done coaching first, so that was at Kilmarnock. And then, because I played football in Glasgow, I studied at City of Glasgow College. Just made it easier.
Was it an HNC, HND you took?
C, I think, HNC, social care. And then from there, I've just kind of worked my way up in jobs.
Yeah, and with Street League, with mental health aside, it's a big issue nowadays, as you're well aware. Especially with COVID hitting so many people. I mean, how do you feel you would tackle mental health issues, especially within sport?
Well, I have. I went through a time where I struggled quite a lot, and it got to basically breaking point for me, and I had to go and speak to someone. So I ended up speaking to my manager at Rangers, and then I asked to see the club doctor. And then from there, I was getting help. I was getting help from a sports psychologist that was put in place. So I had to go to Hampden first, and then they referred me. But I would never have really known about that if it wasn't for the club doctor and things like that. So I think every club's got one now, a club doctor put in place.
Yeah.
But that's probably one of the best things I've ever done.
And you probably find that experience that you've had. You went to Street League, we work with young people and supporting them. Do you find that helped you and helped them?
I did, and I worked in mental health as well for 4 or 5 years, so I could use kind of my own experience as well as a professional way as well. But I definitely did help. But I think you can kind of relate to certain people a wee bit more. And a wee bit more, you have more of an understanding of how they're feeling and why they're feeling that way, and I think you have a better understanding of how to support someone as well when you've been through similar things.
Do you see that as something you might take up yourself in the future to support others in sport maybe?
Maybe just now I'm kind of focusing on the job I'm in now, and kind of seeing where that takes me, because there's a lot of mental health in the job I'm in, and there is a lot of ways you can progress into that. So probably, I don't know if I'd maybe get into in a sporting, like a football environment, but maybe in time it might be something I do, yeah.
It kind of leads us on quite neatly onto the big Chris Boyd, and obviously he's.
I love him as well.
He's set up the charity as well, a mental health related charity. I mean, why have you picked Chris, footballing wise, firstly?
Yeah, again, just a goal scorer. So he is. Obviously, like when I'm a Rangers fan, but I used to watch Kilmarnock play as well because of Chris Boyd, and then obviously he came to Rangers and goal after goal, like the amount of like games he's won for us is unreal. He's just like Hoisty, just a goal scorer.
And he's a character as well, and a personality.
I don't know what I love him as more right now, like a footballer or a pundit. He's been unbelievable. Been so good.
Yeah, it is a bit of a character. But the thing is, the great thing about what he's done is brought this charity on, and brought it to the fore, in particular in a place like, say for example, Ayrshire here, where we need people like that, personalities, to lift that stigma away from mental health. Is it something probably with Chrissy Boyd there, something you could be involved in, maybe because you're with Kilmarnock Football Club?
It is something that I'm like really passionate about. Something that I would definitely consider it. So I would. It's massive. I've been through probably more than what like majority of people go through in a lifetime as well. So I do come with like a lot of experience, and then obviously my jobs that I've had a lot of training in it as well. So it would definitely be something I would consider.
Yeah. Track. Let's see what. My favourite band. I love Fleetwood Mac.
It was hard to pick a song from them. See, it's one of these songs that when it comes on, you can't skip it. You need to listen to it.
It's like the whole album. You just switch on their album. You just can't switch off that album, could you? Rumours. It's just a brilliant album. Anyway, let's listen to that track. going to come back now to talk about Kilmarnock Football Club and your time before and the time in between. What happened? You left the club and went where?
Well, so I was at Kilmarnock from 13 to 16, and then I got a phone call to say, look, I want you to come for a trial at Rangers. So I'm obviously a Rangers supporter, so you can't turn that down. Like, no matter what, if the club you support want you to come and trial, you don't say no to that. So I spoke to Kilmarnock and kind of gave me permission to go. So I ended up at Rangers for 11 years, and then I went through like a time where I wasn't playing, kind of through no fault of my own, but I was on the bench, so I felt like I need game time. So one of my friends, Claire Docherty, she was at Kelly at the time, and I think she mentioned it to Stuart. Then he got in contact, and then it worked out that I went on loan. So I went on loan to Kilmarnock, and I loved it. Like, I think I played 8 games and I scored 8 goals. I won SWBL Player of the Month for September, and I won like Goal of the Season. And I asked for squad number 13 as well, because that was when Coisty went from Rangers to Kilmarnock. That was his squad number 13, so I asked for that, no thinking I would get it. But Stuart, he sat with a goalkeeper top and took off that number and everything, and then got number 13 printed on a top for me. So I felt like they just made a massive effort with me, and that team as well were unbelievable. The characters in there, like Susie, like Kim Murphy, honestly you could name every single player. It was such a good environment to be in, and I think that's what kind of brought out the best as well in me as a player, because I was enjoying myself.
I started to follow the women's game just then when Stuart asked me to come up and film some of the games on the Sundays, and I'd watched it on television, particularly international matches, but I didn't realise the quality and the level that the game had reached for the women's game. Would you agree with that? It's actually moved up quite a level the past few years.
It's every single season it's getting more competitive. But I found in 2018, I found it more competitive playing for Kilmarnock in the league below. I found it more competitive than what I did playing for Rangers in the top league. So that just shows you as well, like the standard of the football. So it is. But it was really good. It was so competitive, even training as well. I think one night we done like Glasgow v Ayrshire, because it was literally split right down the middle, and it was unbelievable. Like the intensity, the standard of that game, like that 30-minute game at the end of a training session, was unbelievable. And that's kind of what majority of sessions were like that, to be honest.
Last time I spoke to Lauren and I have done 2 programmes like this on goalkeeping, and we talked about the women's game, and there's a chap for Bees that tuned in to listen to the programme, and he really slagged the women's game. He says women should not play football, he says, and that drove Lauren mad. So I actually posted back up on Facebook saying to the guy, I says, well look, I've got to sort of back up. I love the game, I love watching the women's game, because I think the quality and standards, if not better than a lot of the games that are out there in the male sort of side.
We're obviously not going to be as strong or as fast, but technically it's just right up there as well. So
the other sort of things that we talked about, I throw this in. When I played football, I was grass all the time. Very rarely we played in the plastic stuff, because it was just getting introduced basically. Is it grass or plastic for you?
So that's all I played on, is AstroTurf. Right. That's all I know, apart from being a kid playing in the street. So no, but people argue this all the time, but I prefer it, and that's probably just because I've played on it since I was about 14. I'm 29 now, so that's all I've known for all those years. So
the other thing I was asking the manager today, we're talking about the VAR system and football analysis that's crept into the game. Do you think, the football analysis the camera sort of angles that you're getting nowadays in particular. Do you think that's an advantage? Do you think it helps?
It can if it's done properly. I think about 15 minutes max should be spent on video analysis, because you see, as a player, you just tune out and you obviously don't mean it. But I think if it's done properly for about 10-15 minutes, because obviously you do get your different camera angles and it's good to see things for different points of view, but if it's done properly, it can be a massive help.
I think that's what we talked about as well, the VAR, the impact that's having in the game.
I'm not a fan of that.
I don't think anybody is these days.
No. Can't even celebrate, because you don't know is that going to even count. So
the analogy I got today was when England won the World Cup. There was a goal that they scored that hit the crossbar and came down. And the argument was it went into the back of the goals. But with kind of technology they have, they said no, it didn't. If they had VAR then, that meant that all those players that played for England wouldn't be the heroes they were nowadays. It would have changed history.
See, the type of player I am as well, it wouldn't be good for me. So I'd be getting booked constantly.
Well, your last player, I think, was Julie Fleeton. I know Julie. I know her dad. I played football with her dad, Jim. Julie, I mean, she's been a bit of a phenomenon in the game. Why have you picked her?
I think every young girl wanted to grow up and be like Julie Fleeton. She came from the same area, well, kind of same area. She was in Kilmarnock and I was Saltcote, so it's quite close. She's unbelievable as well. Just like Coisty and Chris Boyd, just an actual goal scorer. I actually met her when I was younger. So my dad's really good friends with Raymond Montgomery. So they two organised it without me knowing. So my dad's like, right, come with me, we're going down to see Raymond. And I'm like, right. So I've got my ball under my arm. Took my ball everywhere as a kid. And went down and Julie Fleeton was there, and I was proper starstruck. I don't even think I said 2 words to her. She was asking me questions and I was just giving one word answer. She must have thought I was a wee weirdo. And had my Arsenal top on as well. So I don't really have an English team, but I had an Arsenal top because she played for Arsenal at the time. And then as I got older, I ended up playing against her. So she played for Glasgow City and she played for Celtic. So I ended up getting to play against her, but I never got to be her teammate or anything. I would have been on the bench anyway because she should have obviously played before me, but it was good that I finally got to meet her when I was older. But my teammates used to just wind me up so much. They used to say, see when we're up for corners, don't be asking for an autograph and that. Just try to wind me up. But she's always been a player. I've always watched. She's so good. Her goal scoring record's unbelievable.
She's been a real ambassador to the game, isn't she?
Definitely.
Terrific. But we're going to finish off with, I think it was Tupac, is that right? Oh God, Judge Me.
I like that song as well. Aye.
Why is that?
I've just started listening to him recently. And that song just always kind of stood out. I'm not a religious person at all. I don't really, I don't have a religion. I don't pray or believe in God and things like that, whatever. But that song, it just, don't know. I just thought I listened. It came on, and I didn't even know what it was called. And then I searched it, and I've saved it. And then anytime it comes on, it's like that Fleetwood Mac song. You just don't skip it.
Only God can judge me. Right?
That's great, Lisa. Thanks for your time.
No worries. Thanks very much.
And we'll see you soon.
Yeah, we'll see you later.
Perhaps I was blind to the facts. Stabbed in the back, I couldn't trust my own homies. Just a bunch of dirty facts. Will I succeed? Paranoid from the weed. And hocus pocus, try to focus, but I can't see. And in my mind, I'm a blind man doing time. Look to my future, cause my past is all behind me. Is it a crime to fight for what is mine? Everybody's dying. Tell me what's the use in trying? I've been trapped since birth. Cautious, cause I'm cursed. And fantasies of my family in the hearse. And they say it's the white man I should fear. But it's my own kind doing can't lie, ain't no love for the other side. Jealousy inside, make 'em wish I died. Oh my Lord, tell me what I'm living for. Everybody's dropping, got me knocking on heaven's door. And all my memories of seeing brothers bleed, and everybody agrees, but still nobody sees. Recollect your thoughts, don't get caught up in the mix, cause the media is full of dirty tricks. Only God can judge me. Yeah, baby. Only God can judge me. Only God can judge me. Only God can judge me, and only God can. Only God can judge me. Only God can judge me. Flatline. I hear the doctor standing over me, screaming, I can make it. Got a body full of bullet holes, laying here naked. Still I can't breathe. Something's evil in my IV. Cause every time I breathe, I think they're killing me. I'm having nightmares, homicidal fantasies. I wake up strangling, dangling my bed sheets. I call a nurse cause it hurts to reminisce. How did it come to this? I wish they didn't miss. Somebody help me, tell me where to go from here. Cause even thugs cry, but do the Lord care? Trying to remember, but it hurts. I'm walking through the cemetery, talking to the dirt. I'd rather die like a man than live like a coward. There's a ghetto up in heaven in this hours. Black power is what we scream as we dream in a paranoid state. And our fate is a lifetime I hate. Dear mama, can you save me? And peace, cause the streets got our babies. We gotta eat, no more hesitation. Each and every black male's trapped. And they wonder why we suicidal, running round strapped. Mr. Police, please try to see that it's a million more for stressing just like me. Only God can judge me. Only God can judge me. Only God can judge me. And only God can judge me. Only God can judge me. Only God can judge me. That which does not kill me can only make me stronger. I don't see why everybody feel as though they gotta tell me how to live my life. You know? Let me live, baby. Let me live.
Pac, I feel ya. Keep serving it on the realest. For instance, say a player hating Marcus out to kill you. Would you be wrong for bucking a nigga to the pavement? He gon' get me first if I don't get him. Who start praying? Ain't no such thing as self-defense in the court of law. So judges, when we get to where we're going, we're in the cross. That's real. Got him, licked him, crept on him. Sold a 500,000 tapes. Now everybody want him. After talking behind my back like a big wood. Telling them niggas you could fade us. Punk, I wish you would. It be them same on your face that'll rush up in your place to get your safe. Knowing you on that paper chase, grass, glass, big screen and leather couch. My new shit is so fatty, already sold a key an ounce. Remember Tupac and Forte? Them same two brothers dodging bullets, representing the bay. Pac, when you was locked down, that's when I'll be around. Start climbing up the truck, so sick, but they tried to clown. That's why they ride the bandwagon, still be dragging, telling lies. Don't think I don't see you haters, I know y'all in disguise.
Guess you figure you know me cause I'm a thug that love to hit the late night club, draped and buzz. Been living lavish like a player all day. Now I'm about to floss some ball player shit with Forte. Only God can judge me. Only God can judge me. Only God can judge me. That's real. Only God can judge me. 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 Only God, man. That's real. Everybody else, you know what I'm saying? Man, look here, man. My only fear of death is coming back to this bitch reincarnated. That's what the homie mental. We about.